Good afternoon and welcome to UBC Lunchtime News. My name is Michael Jordan Lukomwa. We'll start right away with what we have for you this afternoon. Minister for Science and Technology, Dr. Monica Musenero, has unveiled plans for the National Science Week of 2023, which she believes will mark Uganda's shift from the cusp of innovation to transformative, innovative solutions that will reshape the nation's economic landscape.
The Science Week, slated for 6th to 11th of November, will showcase Uganda's leap into mobility advancement, pathogen economy, import substitution, aeronautics, and space shift, among others. The Science and Technology Ministry adds that energies are being directed towards aligning the country as a technological hub, spearheading advancement in vaccine and drug development.
We have made tremendous progress with making vaccines, not only COVID, but also other vaccines. And our vaccines are now in either some are finishing animal studies and starting the clinical trials, the trials in the humans for the human vaccines. There's so much care that is taken, there's so much testing that is taken, there's so much regulation. But why we bring Science Week is so that you can see the progress which has been made.
The Science Ministry reveals that another satellite with a higher lifespan than the first one, which was launched to enhance communications, is being built.
Satellite, which will give us more capacity, capacity for communication, for capacity for things like telephone and TV. So we are moving with that, and we are building the capacity.
We are going to continuously upgrade it because that is necessary. Right now it can control satellites within a given frequency range, a given band, but we want it to even be able to take control of a wider frequency band. But it is functional right now.
The development of the automotive industry is also underscored.
For the vehicles we drive, those ones are, we are still at the consumption side. The electric motorcycles are being made here, locally. The vehicles, we are still seeing how we can work towards their localization as well. Now for the buses, Kira Motors currently is the only entity that is making electric buses, arguably in the region. And we have had tremendous milestones to that effect as well. Right now we have 4 electric buses on the road. They are still on the road.
This year's National Science Week, under the theme, Our Science-Led Journey Towards Socio-Economic Transformation, is to project Uganda's strides towards export technology and highlight strategies to break free from imported science, technology, and innovation. Crispus Ainitwe, Marion Awori, UBC News.
President Yoweri Museveni is set to meet members of Parliament from the National Resistance Movement at State House in Entebbe this afternoon. The anticipated agenda includes matters related to security, such as the installation of digital number plates, as well as updates on the party's manifesto and the pertinent, among other pertinent issues. The spokesperson of the NRM, caucus, Brandon Chintu, says that the meeting is timely given the members have recently returned from a lengthy recess and have numerous concerns to address.
As NRM, we are charged with the responsibility of ensuring what we pledged in the manifesto for 5 years. We have only been here 2.5 years. As members of Parliament, we are in charge of appropriation. So it's always very wise and important that we can interact as the NRM members to ensure, make a follow-up, give updates, and also discuss a few and other bigger things that are pertaining in this country, economically, politically, and socially. So it's within the mandate, and the rest of the issues we shall be communicated to as he so wishes as the convener of this meeting.
We've spent quite a long time without having a regular caucus meeting. It is supposed to have as a party, we are supposed to have quite a number of meetings regularly to harmonize our situations, our programs. But this time around, because I think of the effects of COVID, we've not been meeting quite as regularly as should have been done, as contained, of course, in our manifesto. Nonetheless, we take a chance when it comes. If the president has said we should, as a chairperson of a party, of our mighty party, we're more than willing and ready to be there with him, and we interact and to talk about issues pertaining to our situation as a country. Yeah, so I think there will be quite a number of issues. It's quite a long time since we last had a very serious caucus, and I'm sure this is an opportunity for us to meet and hammer out common grounds on what we did pledge to do for the people of this country.
Of priorities, the president, as the head of state, he has to tell us how he thinks we should move as NRM. So I expect the president to give us a hint on the priorities for the year 2024-2025. Secondly, we've just come from recess, and we are going to resume next week. I know that all of us who have been in our constituencies, there are a number of issues that are in our constituencies, and particularly when we went to monitor the performance of PDM. I expect us to give feedback to the head of state on how some of the government programs, particularly PDM, is performing in our different constituencies.
Okay, and name and...
Thanks so much.
The Uganda Communication Commission, that UCC, has initiated a one-year pilot project for digital audio broadcasting to advance the transformation of radio broadcasting in Uganda. The launch marks the initial phase towards the eventual nationwide implementation of digital audio broadcasting in the whole country.
96% of cars have DAB. We need to sensitize people on how this is going to go. Shall we be searching using frequencies? He said we can use logos, but when we are searching, it is a logo.
Traditionally, we started with the analog modulation days, AM radio, where you could have one frequency across the country. Then in the 1990s, Uganda opened up the space to allow, it was actually between the 80s, 90s there, we opened up to allow FM radio broadcasting in Uganda to establish what policy, regulatory and operational interventions are required or requirements so that Uganda can harness this digital audio broadcasting. Now when you compare FM and digital audio broadcasting, very similar to how we have digital terrestrial television, digital audio broadcasting allows more channels to be provided in the same range of frequencies. So the limitation we are having right now with FM radio would be accommodated in the digital audio broadcasting. Are we switching off? No. 80 kilometers from Kololo, where that signal would be able to be available initially. And then based on the success, it can be rolled out to other parts of the country. Actually going to have 7 stations that were selected. We had an open process because we have around 320 stations. So we put out a call and put a criteria of those stations that were interested to be a part of the pilot to test, and 7 were selected, including KFM, we have UBC Star, we have Galaxy. There are 7 of them, and we'll be sharing within them. And what we want the public to do, when you have a receiver that has digital audio broadcasting capability, especially the ones in the cars, please test it and give us your feedback.
How many people are being employed in the sector where FMs are playing? We have 300 plus FM stations. We talk about unemployment. We talk about a young, youthful generation that is very innovative but does not have the opportunity to excel. With this project, we believe that there is so much room where all our children and our sisters, our brothers can excel in the different fields. Looking beyond what the ordinary eye sees, as a national broadcaster, we would want to have as many television stations in this country.
That was the Executive Director, UCC, and the Managing Director, UBC. The Education Policy Review Commission, led by its Chairman Amanya Mushega and Deputy Dr. Joseph Muvawala, along with teams of commissioners and researchers, has resumed public hearings and field visits in northern Uganda, specifically in the districts of Acholi region. The Commission's objective is to engage with stakeholders, including students, teachers, and other parties, to gather input for the formulation of a new education policy.
The Education Policy Review Commission, led by its chairman Amanya Mushega and Deputy Dr. Joseph Muvawala, along with teams of commissioners and researchers, has resumed public hearings and field visits in northern Uganda, especially in the districts of the Acholi region.
The book for Senior 3 is not there, and yet we are supposed to cover the Senior 3 syllabus, but the book is not yet brought.
The Deputy Chairperson, Dr. Joseph Muvawala, and the Executive Director of the National Planning Authority say their visit to the Acholi region is to consult with individuals and stakeholders regarding the education system.
In Inoya today we have learned that during a rainy season, kids don't report to school. The whole of last week, the secondary school we went to in Polong had 15 children out of 180. And the reason we have found out was that the fathers and mothers are holding these kids at home. So the special thing here is to have something compulsory. Keep a kid home and let the law find you.
The LC5 chairman for Noya district, Oraj Emmanuel, has advised the government to refine its policy to promote the development of children's skills and talents.
And begin to identify talents in our young people. What can they do best? And we develop that and let them grow to become engineers along that line. Let them grow to become doctors when we see them behaving like they're doctors when they're young. That's the way forward. If they're teachers, develop the talent of teaching from them. This is the way we are going to transform our generation. We must have a shift, and I would call it a paradigm.
Head teachers in the Acholi region have expressed concerns about an increasing number of dropouts due to parents requiring their children to work during market days and on farms. The Commission, during its visit to Ajali Lajwa Primary School in Agago district, discovered that the number of school structures does not match the large number of learners.
To advise the Education Review Commission to analyze on the issues of the time our children spend in school, such that we use our time effectively.
There be more skills where a student can be really assessed on skill, so that when you train this student, then this student should be able to immediately help patients when she's out.
Houses what is alarming, especially in where I am. You look at the type of grass houses we have. The houses have to be renovated on a yearly basis. We have termites that can destroy them.
Stakeholders in Acholi have praised President Museveni for launching a skilling program, which has led to the establishment of over 19 centers across different regions. The ongoing education policy review process seeks to address issues of content overload and excessive classroom contact hours. The goal is to create more time for research, project work, talent development, and fostering creativity among students. I'm Navka Farida and Obo Yusuf.
The National Union of Disabled Persons in Uganda, that is NUDIPU, is urging swift action in the implementation of the National Inclusive Education Policy to address the challenges faced by learners with special needs. During the third National Inclusive Education Symposium of 2023, Esther Chozida, the Executive Director of NUDIPU, was concerned about the insufficient availability of learning assistive devices for students with special needs.
The third National Inclusive Education Symposium of 2023 focused on the delayed inclusive education policy, which is expected to address challenges faced by learners with special needs in the education sector.
I'm looking at the education officers at district level. I'm looking at the parents and the ministry itself, plus the civil society organizations, to know exactly what to do when a child with disability is before them. So because we are lacking this policy, we are having a lot of gaps.
Inadequate learning assistive devices in schools has been identified by stakeholders for depriving special needs learners from quality education.
I've gone to an inclusive school where there are no Parkins machines that they are supposed to use for their braille. There are no slates. There are no specialized equipments. Such a child will just sit in class without taking notes.
The policy seeks to address indiscriminate assessment criteria applied by the Uganda National Examinations Board, UNEB. People with special needs want competence-based assessment model.
Why don't we assess this child in only one item that they are able to do? If it is ICT, if it is English. So those are issues we are trying to address. Those are the unique things that we have kept our eyes closed on them.
The teacher-learners ratio of 1 to 53 is perceived inconsiderate to learners with special needs.
Can we adjust to say we are going to recruit teachers depending on the need of the child? We adjust it in such a way that we can have the 1 to 10 if they are blind, 1 to 10 if they are deaf and no any other disability, and we can have 1 to 1 if they are severely mortally disadvantaged or disabled.
The ministry has given update on the National Inclusive Education Policy and called for patience from attached persons.
We may not have performed maybe 100%, but we have really made a step forward. Even the awareness alone, leave alone the material things, the physical things, but the level of awareness now is at a different level.
To enhance education inclusivity, the Ministry of Education and Sports has initiated mandatory teaching to all those pursuing education to have basic knowledge on handling learners with special needs.
If we go inclusive, then we need to look at the teacher training. So it has got a provision where the teachers are coming out with some kind of basics that can help them handle the special needs learners. And we have quite a number.
The symposium of this year themed ensuring inclusive education from theory to practice. Abdul Nasser Luwama and Rogers Komagum for UBC.
Land continues to be a fundamental factor of production, serving as a foundation for sustaining all human activities. Nevertheless, land management within the city has presented substantial challenges in the pursuit of establishing a smart city, Kampala. Kampala Capital City Land Administration and Management have deliberated on the hurdles and prospects for urban renewal within the city. State Minister for Kampala and Metropolitan Affairs, Kabuye Chofa, underscored the need and the most pressing challenge resides in the comprehensive documentation of the land owners within the city center.
Kampala's population is projected to surge from its current 40% and exceed 68% by 2050, with a significant influx of people migrating from villages to towns. This continued population growth is expected to exacerbate congestion within the city. Hence, the conference aims to address how to effectively manage the city's land resources.
Still have spaces in the city where all of us can go and enjoy ourselves free of charge, and we exercise. Those leisure parks, the recreation facilities, are they there?
Some of the questions that have been discussed in this forum include identifying the key stakeholders in Kampala and assessing the revenue generated from land management in the city. However, the Executive Director of Kampala Capital City Authority, Dorothy Chisaka, cautions the public about wetland encroachments.
2050, 2,100, taking us into the future, not just thinking for our lifetime, but for the lifetime of your child of your grandchild and their grandchild. Can we do this better? We have a phrase we use. We say we are building a smart city, but we cannot build a smart city without first paying attention to the land where we are building this city.
Citing Article 237B of the Constitution, City Mayor Elias Lukwago asserts that the city authorities possess all the instruments of power required to manage land in Kampala. However, they have faced challenges due to the government holding land in public trust.
Because the government, yes, ordinarily should hold that public land in trust. Now the challenge we have, a trustee becomes a landlord. That is an absurdity.
Some of the stakeholders who participated in this engagement to discuss the challenges and opportunities for Kampala's urban renewal have implored participants to use this forum constructively to discuss ways of transforming Kampala's city and helping it realize its full potential.
Obviously, to answer these questions, if you are to exhaustively answer them, they will definitely have financial implications.
KCCA wants to improve how land is managed in the city, but we don't own land.
Justin Nakami in Kampala.
Minister for Works and Transport General Edward Katumba Wamala has asked government to provide funds to procure or lease planes in order to facilitate the newly acquired air routes to Mumbai in India and Lagos in Nigeria respectively. The minister said this during the inauguration of the new board of directors for the Civil Aviation Authority board members at the Ministry of Works and Transport headquarters in Kampala.
I, Honorable Justice Dr. Stephen B.K. Kavuma, swear that I will at all times well and truly serve the Republic of Uganda as chairperson, Board of Directors of Uganda Civil Aviation Authority. I would like to congratulate the newly appointed members of the Civil Aviation Authority Board of Directors, myself inclusive, on the opportunity given to us to serve our country in that capacity for the next 3 years. That opportunity dictates to us all to exhibit a very high degree of commitment, dedication, and teamwork, all of which virtues I, on behalf of the board, pledge to unreservedly pursue.
So you should be a board that is results-oriented, and the thrust should be that you improve the performance of UCAA from where it is now to some level, higher level.
We are still struggling. I was shocked this morning again by Uganda Airlines to tell me that now if we are opening Mumbai and we open Lagos, we shall not be able to operate Guangzhou. We shall not be able to operate London because the number of aircrafts we have are not enough. So what does that mean? We need to get more assets. Yes, if we are going to be able to operate all those routes. But now the ball falls back in your hands as government. We have the capacity in terms of human resource, but we need the assets. We need the aircrafts.
The Equal Opportunities Commission Tribunal has issued an order to Pastor Martin Semba, directing him to cease making derogatory remarks about people living with HIV and to uphold the principles of the Constitution. The decision was announced by the committee member Joel Cox-Ojuko while delivering the verdict in the case against Semba, who was accused of discrimination and stigmatization against individuals with HIV.
2015 provides for liability for discriminatory acts and practices and states that a person who contravenes any of the provisions of Part 7 of the HIV and AIDS Prevention and Control Act 2015 shall be liable to a civil wrong. The respondent is culpable for having committed a civil wrong under Part 7 of the HIV and AIDS Prevention and Control Act of 2015. Furthermore, Section 46 of the HIV and AIDS Prevention and Control Act states that a person who contravenes the provisions of this act, where no specific punishment is prescribed, shall be liable on conviction to a fine of not more than 240 currency points or to imprisonment for a term of not more than 10 years or both. The fundamental purpose of this commission is to promote social harmony and not custodial punishment for violators of human rights or equal opportunities principles. The respondent shall at all times comply with the provisions of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda as amended, the Equal Opportunities Commission Act of 2007, the HIV and AIDS Prevention and Control Act of 2015, the National Policy Guidelines on Ending HIV Stigma and Discrimination. Forthwith, desist from uttering or posting on social media or the mainstream media any statements that have the effect of causing stigma against people living with or affected by HIV/AIDS.
We don't agree with this judgment. I think the court got it completely wrong. This is an issue of freedom of speech. This is an issue also of the rights of the uninfected. This is an issue of protecting people who don't have HIV/AIDS and speaking for their rights. Saying that what I did was discriminatory, I'm going to be studying this judgment. I think that it is a miscarriage of justice, and I'm going to be appealing. You know, the fight for freedom of speech, this number one is a fight. We are free to think, and we are free to criticize. We cannot have sacred cows where you cannot say, I can't criticize this issue or that issue.
Water, please. Can I pay with Momo?
No.
Hey, can I pay with Momo?
Here's our merchant code.
Very good.
7 mega?
20. Can I pay with Momo?
Unfortunately, no.
Baby, let's go.
When paying with MTN Momo comes with more benefits for everyone, it just doesn't make sense not to have it.
Hello, I've come for rent.
Can I pay with Momo?
Yes, you can.
Pay or shop with MTN Momo and get cashback every week. It's free of charge. Use the Momo app or dial *165*3#.
The Woman Trade Fair for this year brings you the Black Friday earlier than ever before. Get ready to buy what you need at a 50% discount. Home appliances like fridges, cookers, TVs and so much more. Boda bodas, tukutukus, soap, detergent, cooking oil, sugar, rice and so much more. Don't miss to get what you've been longing for at a discounted price of up to 50% at the Woman Trade Fair Black Friday from 3rd to 10th October. Proudly sponsored by Total Energy, Science, Technology and Innovation Secretariat, Stanbic Bank, Uganda Breweries Limited, Tembo Seals, Uganda Bati, Simba Automotives, and Node Group.
Uncle, you should see London.
Oh, my boy. This has been 5 years. You should see Uganda.
Yes. Uncle Marcus, this money for my school.
Soon, there will be more than 1 million children learning like this for free.
Thank you, Uganda, for imagining it with us and making us the fastest growing telecom in the country over the past 5 years.
The 9th of October is a special day in Uganda. We remember our past, celebrate our present, and dream of a brighter future. It is a day to celebrate independence with pride and confidence. The 61st Independence Day celebrations under the theme Sustaining a United and Progressive Nation, Taking Charge of Our Future as a Nation will take place in Kitgum District on Monday, 9th October 2023.
Customer, why pay for more when you can only pay for what you use? Enjoy the best value on daily voice bundles now charged per second. For example, if you call for 23 seconds using our 25-minute Bona bundles, only 23 seconds of that call will be charged, leaving you with 24 minutes and 37 seconds to talk longer with your loved ones. Dial *100*1# to buy a daily voice bundle today. Airtel, a reason to imagine.
Welcome back from the break, and thank you so much for watching. We now talk business. Sinuk Uganda is sponsoring 3 Ugandan students to pursue a Bachelor of Petroleum Engineering at the China University of Petroleum, East China. This is under the International Scholarship Program beneficiaries.
The purpose of this scholarship program is to enhance the capacity building and skills development to ensure national content participation.
The 2 gentlemen, they are coming from our host areas, host districts of Hoima and Chikube.
SINOC has so far sponsored a total of 8 Ugandan students, 5 at bachelor's level and 3 at master's level, to study at China's University of Petroleum, East China.
SINOC Uganda Limited is committed to education and capacity building to fulfill its vision of energy for Uganda.
The beneficiaries for this particular sponsorship are Jean Remy Amanya from Hoima District, Nanyunja Hadija from Kampala, Musinguzi Ronald from Chikube District. These students will continue in their footsteps to become future drilling engineers, production engineers, and completions engineers at the peak start of oil and gas projects.
All I can feel is gratitude to God, to my parents for enabling me to reach this far, and what I hope to do after my 4 years is come back to Uganda and spread what I have learned, encourage girls like me to apply for such opportunities, to be able to join such a competitive, male-dominated field and be able to thrive, as I hope to do once I get to China.
Pursuing petroleum engineering from China, it is a debt to me to pay back to my society. And I believe coming back to Uganda, I will impact the society, especially my community, but not only my community, Uganda and Africa at large.
As Uganda draws towards first oil production in 2025, more and more national content targets are being monitored by government as per the oil and gas agreement signed, which promise to see more Ugandans employed in the nascent sector. Wadulo Makanold, UBC News in Kampala.
Hundreds of attendees from various districts gathered at the URA headquarters for the Landlords Dialogue with URA meeting this afternoon. The remarkable turnout exceeded URA's expectations but proved beneficial in shedding light on the significant revenue challenges faced by landlords across the country.
Landlords representing small, medium and large-scale properties spanning across more than 5 districts arrived in their thousands at the URA hall in Kampala. Initially, the landlords were disappointed that they were being collectively addressed without proper categorization, making it hard to pinpoint unique issues pertaining rental tax. Musinguzi Rujoki, the Commissioner General of URA, acknowledged this concern and assured the attendees that URA would follow up with categorized meetings to address the unique needs of different segments of landlords. At the meeting, landlords argued that the current policy did not reflect the needs of the property sector, as landlords are subjected to heavy taxes most times before sustainable income is generated.
Tugambe nti omwaka okollectinze million 5, but out of that collection osasula million 4.5 interest ku loan. Million 4.5 interest ku loan ebera expense. Kati bwentuuka ku end of year nongamba expenses zote zijja ku exceedinga 50% allowable. Kitegeeza nti ekizimbe kyange bwe mba sisasudde interest, essente zonna ze nkollectinze nezisasula mu interest ate ogenda zinsaba mu musolo.
Rental tax has historically been one of the least performing segments of revenue collection. In financial year 2019-20, only 110 billion shillings was collected from rental tax, a figure that increased to 215 billion Ugandan shillings in the fiscal year 2022-23. However, this still represents less than 1% of the total revenue collection, far below what the sector's size suggests.
Uganda is one of the least countries in terms of tax to GDP, the contribution of tax to GDP. We are one of the lowest collecting countries of tax in the whole world. But research all over the world has shown that any country that collects below 18 to 20% of tax to GDP, it cannot develop.
In the financial year 2022-23, Uganda's tax to GDP ratio rose to 14% for the first time, compared to the long-standing figure below 10%. But Uganda Revenue Authority aims to reach a tax to GDP ratio of 18 to 20% within the next 2 years. Wadulo Mark Arnold, UBC News in Nakawa.
Thank you so much for watching. That is all we had for you this afternoon. But of course, we'll be here. Newsroom is at work, like I always say. We'll have news for you in Luganda, Kiswahili, and I'll be here myself for news tonight. So you have all the reasons to keep it with us. Bye-bye. Enjoy the afternoon.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.